he's managed to hold on and they get
He
back
missed
for
the
his
complete that. He's crazy
side by side.
stuff.
Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Friction is heat. You know, you take an engine where the lifter goes up and down, pushes the valve up and down, it really gets hot right there. That's where oil breaks down and where we have failures. AMSOIL, on the other hand, it's a true synthetic lubricant. It's just idling right there. It doesn't even know it's being used. In other words, 300 degrees is ho hum to AMSOIL.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 4 of the 2015 American Sim Racing AMSOIL Truck Series. Tonight, the guys shift gears, going to their first true short oval of the season and take on Martinsville, one of the most challenging and brutal oval tracks in all of America. I am your host, Brian Corwin. Joining me tonight is Sean Ambrose. Joe Peak is our resident director calling the shots, and as always, our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. Round 4 will be a game of patience. There is not a lot of passing to be had at Martinsville, so pit strategy and attrition will be a major factor in gaining those positions and points, which will be ever so important later on in the season. So far, the series has been a battleground, seeing controversial twists and turns. 3 unique winners have stood on top of the podium so far this year, with Adam Blattel, the league sponsor, with a win at Daytona, Dan Murray at Atlanta, and Keith Medeiros at our last race at Auto Club Speedway under the lights at Fontana, California. With a field as talented as this, anyone could be a winner of tonight's race. And speaking of tonight's race, let's go over to Sean now as he runs us through what to expect in round 4 live here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hey, Brian, thanks a lot, man. We've got an exciting one on tap for you guys tonight. We are at the famed Martinsville Speedway here in Ridgeway, Virginia, here in the United States of America. And Martinsville has been around for a long time. This track opened in 1947. And all the greats of modified racing, NASCAR, sprint car racing, everybody's raced here over the years. It's going to be just a fast and furious race tonight. We're going to do 125 laps here tonight. We're on this 12-degree banked track, rather flat, concrete turns, asphalt straights. It's only a half mile. They're going to get around here in just over 20 seconds. As we're seeing right now in the qualifying session, we got guys here dropping into the low 20s, which is just unreal. Somebody might just get that 19-second barrier, Brian. But tonight is going to be a really good one again. They're running a fixed setup. ASRS runs that setup. This new fixed setup on this new build is it's good. It's a little tight in the turns and a little bit loose off. So throttle management, what I call the eggshell theory, the egg theory, you don't want to crack that egg. You want to put it under the throttle, but you don't want to crack it. So watch yourself getting off those turns. 32 cars are going to start this race tonight. They're going to get one fast fix in the pits. That's it. With this new build, you can choose when you take that fast fix now. Trouble is easy to find here. It's very narrow. Again, there's going to be 32 cars. The start of the field. The leaders, they're going to come across the start-finish line, and everybody is still going to be making their way, the guys at the back making their way through turn 3. So it will spread out. Lap traffic will come up quick. We're going to have realistic weather tonight and an incident limit set at 18. So you're going to have to be on your toes tonight and ready to react to any trouble in front of you, because you can rack up those incident points pretty quick here if you find yourself in trouble. So Brian, tonight I expect will be a very fast race, maybe littered with a couple of cautions here and there, but I heard last night in one of the practice races they ran almost 65, 70 laps under green conditions, so fuel could be a factor, but if the cautions come out just right, it may not. You may be able to do this thing on one tank with a 75% fuel load, so we're going to see how that all plays out, but one thing is for certain, these guys will probably trade a little bit of paint tonight. Some of these trucks probably won't look the same by the time we finish up tonight here at Martinsville Speedway, Brian.
Absolutely, and that's some really good advice as we have Ricky Harden in the number 15, the Nyla Bowen racing car. Ricky, do you got a copy?
10-4, guys. What's up?
So it's my understanding tonight that you're one of the sponsors or donors to the race, and you have a foundation you want to talk to us about. What do you have for us?
Yeah, that's right. Tonight we're supporting the Petco Foundation. One of our team members is a store manager at a Petco, and they do a lot of cool things for pets and no-kill shelters and spay-neuter clinics. They have an option at the register to donate to it. I think it says Save a Homeless Pet when you do that, but that's for the Petco Foundation, and all that money stays local to where your Petco store is to help animals.
And it sounds like you got spay and neuter programs and special pet events. I do have a Petco in the area. Shamefully, haven't been there in a while, but it does sound like they have a lot of good charities going on. And it looks like you're representing them on your car. The bed of your truck has, what, is it a Nylabone on your truck there?
Yeah, Nylabone is my primary sponsor. We like to buy those for my dog Brutus, who is on the bed of my truck. And you'll see Petco Foundation on the bed of my truck as well. So we like to donate to them. And Nylabone are great chew satisfiers for the dog. He likes to chew on things, and that bone is better for him to chew on than a lot of other things in our house.
You know, as someone that just recently quit chewing tobacco after 8 years, maybe I should get myself an Nylabone as well. Well, thanks for coming down. We will be using you as a in-car reporter, so we will be hearing from Ricky later on the race. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and I'd like to send everybody over to the Unacceptable Racing page and keep up with all our drivers there.
Absolutely, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Ricky. Well, going over to the top 10 in the point standing right now, as we see Ricky leave the booth here. Dan Murray is currently leading the championship with 128 points and is currently the leader. Right behind him is Ricky Harden, who we just talked to. He has 115 points, trailing by 13, sitting in second place. In third place, we have Gary Whitson. He has 112 points and he's trailing by 16. In fourth place, we have Jonathan Cadell. In fifth place, we have Tommy Ryan, who had an awesome race last week, just could not fit the bill to get a win. He has 108 points, trailing by 20. In sixth place is last week's winner is Keith Medeiros. He has 100 points to his name. He is trailing by 28. In seventh place, we have James Krahula with 96 points, trailing by 32. In eighth place, we have Tim Johnston with 88 points, trailing by 40. Tied with him is the series sponsor, Adam Blattell. He's an AMSOIL rep, and we'll be hearing a little bit more about AMSOIL tonight. He has 88 points as well, trailing by 40. And to round out the top 10, we have Jason Kristen with 83 points, trailing just behind with negative 45 to the leader. So that is your top 10 going forward into this series. We are looking forward to a great race right now. And Sean, why don't you run us through the grid and tell us what the lap times are looking like and what you're seeing here on the track?
Well, what I'm seeing is the 20-second barrier about to fall, I think. I don't know. Let's see if Krahula is still on the track. But no, Krahula's in the pits now, and they've only got just a couple of, about a minute and a half left to qualify. And it looks like he may hold that with a 20.160. Guys, that is just blistering around this joint. Ryan Howard right behind him, just hundreds of a second behind him there, 20.172. Dan Murray even closer with a 20.177. The top five all right there, so close to James, but James kind of set himself apart there early in the qualifying practice, and looks like he's sitting in and staying safe right now. We've got several guys coming back out on the track, taking one last stab at it. But your top 10 right now, 20.341 down to 20.160. So you can see how close it is. These, right now, the top 29 are all within that 20-second range. So as you can see here, it is going to be very, very close tonight. I expect we will see the most competitive event we've seen all season here so far. And like I said earlier, I don't expect a lot of these trucks to look exactly the same as they did when we started. That's kind of one of that's the nature of the beast at Martinsville. There's an old term, it's kind of cliche, called the Martinsville Special. If you've ever driven one without fenders and maybe without a bumper, you know what I'm talking about. But a Martinsville Special is very possible here tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm just looking through the field now as the checkered flag comes out on this session. And it looks like a lot of drivers are still within that magic zone of 1 or 2 tenths from the leader. So just like every week, making the cut just means every single bit more if you have a chance in the points chase. The leader, James Krahula, has a 20.160 to round off the end of the event. I don't think he'll be able to finish any more laps, so that'll finish that. But the farthest guy back that I see just at a quick glimpse is only 3/10 behind. And at Martinsville, that is actually a very short time to make up with the way that you can run in and out in the corners and in the banks. But without further ado, we do have the pace car on the track, and people will be taking the field. Why don't we run down the top, the order here as we get ready to start, as we do the double pace lap. Right now on the pole, if I'm seeing this right, we have James Krahula. He's in first place with a 20.160. Ryan Howard still right behind him in second place. Dan Murray's in third place, followed by Todd Guerin in fourth. Brandon Jones is in fifth place, followed by Tim Johnston in sixth. Tommy Ryan's in seventh, followed by Jordan Harnish in eighth. Adam Jersky, I believe that is a new name to this series. I don't remember seeing him in the past. He's in ninth. Ricky Harden, who we have talked to tonight, is in 10th, and that rounds out the top 10. John, let's go over to you for number 11.
Well, last week's winner in the 22, the old Fireball Roberts number there, is going to start on the inside of that sixth row there in 11th place. Gary Whitson on the outside of him there in 12th, and the number 13. And the 81, Dan Winter starting in 13th place. And the number 75, Daniel Murphy starting in 14th. In 15th, and the number 52, Dan Deffler. And in 16th, Bryce Whitson in the double lot. In the number 24 truck, Alan Young starting 17th. Starting 18th, Jeffrey Belt in the number 102. In 19th, Reed Rundell in the number 43, the old Richard Petty number there. Starting 19th, DJ Beverly rounding out the top 20 in the 01.
Alex Giese is in 21st, followed by Christopher Ginn. He's 22nd. Jesse Fowler in 23rd. He's driving that 98 car, followed by the 57, Jared Haggerty, the Power Rangers car. I believe Jared Haggerty is the cosplayer that does the Power Ranger event, so good luck for him tonight. Right behind him is Sean Music. He has 25th position, followed by league sponsor Adam Blattell in 26th. Right behind him is Michael Schirabach, I believe that's how you pronounce that, is the 27th, and Alex Bates is in 28th. League representative and president Jim Foods is in 29th, followed by Jason Kirsten in 30th, Michael Kunik in 31st, and then the rest of the field, Steven Marks, Aaron Cleanhands, and Carson Abe. I believe Carson's actually an admin. That will round out your field for the top 32, 33 in the race today. We do see the cars rolling there. So, Sean, who's your pick for today's race?
Ooh, man, there's a lot of talent out here tonight. Sometimes guys in the back of the field at this track can really make their way up here. I'm gonna take a stab here, and I'm gonna take a look at maybe Keith Medeiros pulling a repeat here in the old number 22. This could be his night again.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go with James Krahula because my experience proves if you can stay in the front of Martinsville, you have every bit a fair chance to win the race. So James will be my pick for today in the number 18 car. We will be tracking these guys to see how they're doing, but before we go to the race and get the green flag racing going, I want to remind all of our fans to feel free to chat with us on social media during the race on YouTube or on Twitter at GSR Channel, and also on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. You can talk to us live in real time, and we may or may not read your comments on the broadcast. So without further ado, we're going to go around, I think, one more time before the yellow disappears, the green comes out, and we get to racing. James Krahula, though, that's been a driver that's had everything. As we see the pace car going in, I will not finish that point as we have to get going now. But we have a very stacked field. Cars going wide. The 15 is looking very racy. The 22 just gets a little bit of a bump on the 71, but we're racing. The 15 going down the outside. Nowhere to go, though. The 51 had a little bit of a blink. That could be on my end, though. Everyone's taking a nice, clean ride into turn one. Sean, what are you looking at in the middle of the pack?
Man, I'm right 3 wide coming out of turn 2 there. It looks like one of the trucks got a little high there, but right now everybody's still under power. A little bit of braking going on there. But right now, it looks like everybody is clean right now. The 98 truck got a little bit of bumper in front of him there, but everybody is still under power. Nobody's out of shape yet.
The 33 made a pretty good move on the 54 of Todd Guerin. That is Ryan Howard, as he's going to try and take over third place as he gives the 54 nowhere to go. A little ways back, we have the 32 of Brandon Jones also failing in pretty good. The 16 of Tommy Ryan just behind. It looks like everyone's going to try and play it safe on that slippery, cold tires and let the field play out. So right now, we are single file all the way through the field, all the way back to 10th place, where we see Gary Whitson, actually. That's 12th place, as we see 2 wide just behind them, Sean.
Yeah, well, the high line here is a hard way to make a living, but man, if you've got a car that can get off that turn really good, you can gain spots on the high line. It's gonna be interesting to see who steps out first. We got a little bit of an accordion effect going on here at the back of the pack. Guys stacking up a little bit.
Oh, and we have
like
a spin. Oh, good save by the 24 car. That was Alan Young. Sorry to cut you off there, Sean. He was able to collect it, but he has definitely burned up those tires. The 43 right behind was Reed Rundell's. Now we go to replay. I'm looking at it once again. It looks like he either got it tapped or got a little too much of that inside curb. His car got a little unsettled, and he went for a ride, but however, was able to miss Reed Rundell. Now we do go back to racing. Sean, you can go ahead and finish that point now.
Well, no, actually, I just heard him come over the radio, and he breathed a big sigh of relief. Very happy to save that truck right there on that almost spin. But man, we're 6 laps into this thing already, and everybody is kind of settled in right now. I think these guys are in for the long haul right now. Like I was trying to say earlier, man, you can make a move on the outside here if you've got a truck that can handle it. So let the tires, take it easy these first few laps. Let the tires come to you, and then get there on the outside and make a move. Gain some spots, outbrake somebody to the turn.
Still battling. We have Todd Guerin in that 54 and also Ryan Howard in the 33. Guerin's been diving down the outside. I don't know if that's the tack you really want to take, as we see a little bit of a bobble by Dan Murray. He's going to slow down. Hold up the number 54 as the 33 of Ryan Howard's going to try to dive down the inside. Dan Murray has nowhere to go, so he's going to be trapped there. The 33 definitely is going to try and muscle Dan Murray out to the outside. Everyone looking nice and tidy, though, as there's no contact. Now James Krahula under attack. We have a lot of guys going too wide pretty early in this race right now. I think they're starting to get a little more comfortable on those warmer tires.
Yeah, probably so. Not seeing a lot of positions change hand yet. Everybody's pretty much where they started. But again, right now I think compared to what we saw in practice, we got a lot of guys exhibiting a lot of patience right now and realizing that, hey, I got 125 miles to get around this joint. Let's play nice for a little while, see how things go. I'll pick up one position at a time, as we're seeing Jared Haggerty try to do right now. And we've got a first yellow flag, Brian.
Absolutely, and we're going to go to replay and figure out what happened there, but I do see the 75 car spinning around backwards, so maybe that will give us a little bit of a clue of what happened.
Yeah, look, he was there at the line. I saw him there in the middle of the track at the line. It looks like I'm going to back up here and take a look, but yeah, that's Daniel Murphy there in the Silverado, the number 75 Freaky Fast Silverado, and man, he got loose off, plain and simple. He just got loose off, got back to that accelerator a little too hard, and that's exactly what will happen here. But he did save the truck a little bit, just made a little tap there against the inside wall. No significant damage at all. I think he's going to be just fine. It's going to reset the field, and we're going to go back to green flag racing here pretty quick.
Absolutely, and I just did a little bit of investigating. It did look like the 75 of Daniel Murphy got into the back of the 13 of Gary Whitson, so that may have a lot to do with the fact that he spun. We do see, however, though, coming out of 3 and 4, it seems like cars are struggling off the line, so maybe it also might be a lack of grip through those low banks here at Martinsville. With that being said, though, we are going to do our AMSOIL through the field segment real fast. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And today it looks like the going is getting tough already. We've seen cars going too wide. We've seen lead changes, or excuse me, not lead changes, but podium changes at least, with Dan Murray losing his spot, going down to 3rd place. Several drivers moving up through the ranks. And of course, James Krahula still in the lead of this race. So Sean, who are the biggest movers? Who's gained the most positions so far from what we've seen in these first 10 laps?
Well, okay, like I was saying just before we went to that caution there, I mean, really not many people had moved a lot. I mean, Keith Medeiros, my pick, he's up from 11th up to 6th already. We've seen a few people fall back. DJ Beverly up from 20th up to 10th. Now, what we need to keep in mind here is a lot of guys just went in for a pit stop. So we've had some people cycle in and cycle out. So, it's that's where we're seeing a lot of the shuffling right now, is because of the caution. I think right now, again, like I said, your biggest movers, Keith Medeiros, one of them, DJ Beverly, let's see, Jim Foose up from 29th up to 15th. So, we've definitely seen some guys move up to this field just based on the caution flag, but that'll be interesting on this restart. We'll see how some of those guys that were at the back perform now that they're up at the front, and that will change this restart. Again, we got different characters in play to watch now, so we'll see what happens, Brian.
Absolutely, and let's just talk about some of the winners from previous in the season. Dan Murray is in 1st place. I'm showing Keith Medeiros in 6th. And let's see, where is Mr. Blittel? Do you see Mr. Blittel? He's a little ways back, I believe. He's in 14th place. So yeah, we definitely do have some of the higher points drivers up here in the front half of the field. So definitely looking good for the points chase as of now. But we are going to take a very short break. It's not going to be long before we go green again, but we'll talk to you soon after these messages from our sponsor.
AMSOIL rear-end lubrication was keeping the metal
Pace car's
apart.
in. Pace car's in.
We accomplished big things with so little effort. Just changed the rear-end lube to AMSOIL. Totally did it.
All right, we are live. Sorry for the bad timing on that commercial break, but we have a big lead by Dan Murray as he is trying to outrun Tommy Ryan, who's just behind him. And Sean, I did not catch the mid
And the
part of
yellow's
the field
back out.
come
We
through,
got a
but we do have a
big
yellow
stack
coming
up,
back
big
out.
stack up here in 3, man.
I see a lot of slow cars. Ryan Howard's moving pretty slow. I'm looking through right now. The 43 is pretty slow. I did not see who was all involved because I was focusing on the leader of the race. Sean, did you see anything?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at it now. I see the 32, Brandon Jones, in a little bit of trouble there. He got in a little bit too hot, but the 2 was checking up. The 2 truck was checking up in front of him. Jim Foose was checking up. The 7 was spinning there. He was kind of at the front of that. The 7, Michael Krobach there, a little bit of trouble, and just up in front of him, we had another truck here. I'm trying to get the number on it right out of the 102 was in a spin. Jeffrey Belt was in a spin. Trying to see where it all started. It looks like it might have been there. Looks like Belt got just a little bit of the back of the 01, and that really kind of started the whole chain reaction, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking through, and it looks like DJ Beverly was up just even further than that and also got involved with it. I'm going back now and watching the 01 car as he comes around into the start-finish line. Already, though, it seems like, oh, yep, I see exactly what happened. The 52, or the 01 pulled down to get behind the 52. The 52 checked up for the corner. Didn't have anywhere to go, slammed into the back, and then the rest is history. It definitely falls down on the 01 of DJ Beverly trying to secure his position in line. So just maybe a racing mistake. Not a lot you can say on that one other than it was just probably a lapse of concentration. And then our second yellow for the day comes out.
Yeah, the only problem is that a lot of trucks were collected in that, unfortunately. So it looks like we may have guys coming in to use that first fast repair. And, going into that caution flag, we already had 3 trucks that were a lap down from that last cycle of pit stops. So you had Steve Buhala and Aaron Kleinhaus and Michael Koenig had already fallen a lap down. So if those guys stay out, they have a chance to get that lap back now.
Well, that will be interesting to see how the Lucky Dog comes into play. Definitely one of the tracks you associate the Lucky Dog with is Martinsville because of the amount of cautions that we have throughout the race. So they may not be out of the race right now, but who's looking really happy is Dan Murray. He somehow has kept his car clean and safe, and he is still running up in the front. He has already won a race this year, and he is looking pretty good to stay up on the top again in round 4 here.
Man, DJ Beverly got a lot of damage on that machine. Now, this is not an aero track, okay? Let's be clear. You can get away with some front end damage, some damage. Now you do want some downforce on the rear, obviously, because of the flat turns. But the lights are off on the pace car already again. So we got another quick, but it doesn't look like Beverly's going to get any repair this time, Brian.
Absolutely, and we see the number 5 of Dan Murray, Tommy Ryan on the outside, and 54 of Todd Guerin just behind. These 3 have been the fastest today in the race as far as clean racing goes. The 54 gets a little bit of a jump, but Dan Murray is going to take off down the road by himself. Tommy Ryan's going to be stuck on the outside, nowhere to go. And the 51 of Jordan Harnish has also nowhere to go, so we'll see how this plays out. The 16 goes a little wide. The 54 of Todd Guerin got a little bit of a better run, but I think the Tommy Ryan machine has a little more speed. Let's see who gets the corner. The 54 just tugging it down in there. He has nowhere to go. He is out of grip. And Sean, this is a very exciting racing here after this short yellow.
Yeah, and we had trucks checking up in a turn again in turn 4, man. Almost had another big stack up there, but everybody managed to gather it up and make their way through turn 4 back across the start-finish line. We've got another lap in. Here we are at almost 24 laps into this race now, Brian.
Absolutely, and I don't want to get away from the battle too much, but it does look like Todd Guerin did take that position from Tommy Ryan finally, but now the 51 of Jordan Harness is under attack of Tom Ryan. Ryan is going to be stuck on the outside, the 51 on the bottom. Once again, the 51 has the favorable position going into the corner. It looks like Tommy Ryan's going to get stuck on the outside now as the 71 forces his nose in. That is Adam Jersky coming in that pink 71 car. Gives them a little bit of room so that Tommy Ryan's going to file in fourth place. But now behind the 71, the 22 started to come in. So we have Keith Medeiros, last week's winner, also trying to come in and play in this little dance. So we have lots of cars being very aggressive coming into these first couple laps after that last yellow. Tommy Ryan just under the 54 of Todd Guerin. Oh my God, Sean, I need to catch my breath. There's so much going on in the front of this pack.
Yeah, and a little ways back here, Jim Foose not trying to live up on the high side here, and he's making it work. Man, he's come all the way from 29th place, and now he's fallen to 11th. But Jim's got the right idea right now. He's being patient, picking his spots, but doing it on the outside, making it work up there up top. As I said earlier, you can make that work here.
And we have Jim Foose actually in 12th place, so he is just behind Reed Rundell and Ricky Harden. Both of the drivers looking very well right now, as you said, playing the game very safe. Now, Foose, I believe, is in the best, highest position he's been all season. He's had some runs in the top 10 and top 5, I believe, but he has never really finished very high due to attrition and other factors. So today, if Foose just keeps his car clean, plays it by the rules, and plays it nice and safe, he might be looking at a very big position today, which will actually secure his place in the points chase. A lot of drivers take it for granted, but these early races might come back to save your butt later on when things get down to the last, down to the wire, as they say. So right now, as you said, Sean, Jim Foose looking very veteran and very smooth.
We got a car spinning right before the start-finish line here.
Go back and see who it is.
Out. Yeah, I'm getting in on it right now here. Yeah, it's the 75 again. A little bit of trouble there.
Daniel Murphy. See here, Daniel Murphy coming across the start-finish line. As we see, the replay is going to catch up. It looks like he might have tagged the 81 going into the corner, but that wasn't where it happened. Let's see exactly where that bump on the 81 may have caused some suspension damage. The 81 has a bent-up fender, so that could have been a hit right there. But see, yep, coming out of turns 3 and 4, he just spins it, loses control, and that could be part of that damage there from picking up.
Exactly. He just got loose off again there in the same spot he did last time, and he's just going to have to work on that. He's going to have to get better at it. I mean, that's one of the things about this track that can be really challenging. Getting off these turns can be very, very tricky. It's all about throttle management, man.
Absolutely. Now, Sean, I know we like to talk about pit strategy and pit stops, but let's kind of get away from that real fast and go over the brackets challenge. Tell us a little bit about the bracket going on here that they got going down in the paddock.
Yeah, well, they put out a little bracket challenge for everybody. We're speaking of brackets. We're talking about this big tournament thing that's going on this time of year, March, April, real crazy stuff. ASRS decided to do their own little bracket. It was a 32 driver bracket. The first round was last week and at Auto Club, and it's pared down now to 16 drivers, and they will take the top 8 tonight and go to the 8 next week at Darlington, and then finish up, I believe it was at Charlotte, I think it was. Right now we've got Dan Murray and Jim Foose squaring off tonight, and the winner of that little battle will go down to next week, and Tim Johnson and Mark Allen are battling tonight, and the winner of that one, basically whoever finishes better of the two paired up will advance to next week's session. So again, on the left side, we got Dan Murray and Jim Foose, Tim Johnson and Mark Allen squaring off tonight, Brandon Jones and Benny Ellison squaring off, Gary Whitson and Alex Bates. On the right side of the bracket right now, we'll call it East and West, okay? On the west side of the bracket here, we've got Jeffrey Belt and Reed Rundell squaring off, Jared Haggerty and James Skrahula squaring off. Also, they'll move on to the best of those four. Will move on to the next round, and then we've got Ricky Harden and Chris Guillen in their own little battle tonight, and Tommy Ryan and Keith Medeiros, who is showing to be pretty strong here so far. So, we got quite an interesting challenge going on there, and now it will pay out $15 to the overall winner, the champion, $10 to second, third will get $5, and whoever picked, they of course, like you do in any bracket, whoever picked the winner will also win $5. Brian.
We'll have more on the bracket later tonight if we have another yellow, but that does kind of round off what we're thinking here, and we see the pace car shooting down pit road rather fast, so we are about to go back to racing. Dan Murray already piling up here. We have the 54 just getting a little back there by Keith Medeiros bumping on him, and then, again, Dan Murray very strong this season on the starts. Who with a 16 of Tommy Ryan takes a dive down trying to beat the 54 to the corner, but he was having none of that. That's Todd Guerin, shuts the door, however, loses way too much speed in the momentum bleed off there. So Tommy Ryan in that 16 car actually was the benefactor of that aggressive move, Sean.
Yeah, he was. And, again, we just talked about Tommy Ryan trying to, square off against Jim Foose. This is all good for him right now. It's because Jim is behind him. So, Jim's still having a great run, though. I'm kind of watching what's going on here at the mid-back of the pack right now. A lot of side-by-side racing going on. A little bit of side-by-side racing going on. Mostly at the back here, though. But right now, seems everybody is playing nice, trading a little bit of paint here and there. Do see just a little bit of damage on the back of the 38 truck there at Tim Johnston. He's got it caved in a little bit there in the 38 truck. But right now, again, everybody else settled in right now, trying to get some green flags under their belt right now as we get ready to tick off lap 38, Brian.
And the yellow is out. Once again, we are seeing another yellow flag. I'm not sure exactly what caused it. Let's kind of reset our batteries here and see exactly what happened. Do see Jared Haggerty and a few other cars are pretty dented up, but I'm looking for a car that might be facing the wrong direction. Sean, do you see anything?
Man, no, I was looking at something else when it happened. I really didn't see what I missed it. I'm going to have to try and find it here real quick.
As we try to figure out what happens, let's just go over the top 5 here in this race. Dan Murray officially on the lead right now, followed by Tommy Ryan. Todd Guerin is in 3rd place, followed by Keith Medeiros in 4th. Adam Jersky, who's been very aggressive in that pink 71 car, is currently in 5th. Now, Gary Whitson has been one of those drivers in the Tide truck who's always kept his car very clean throughout the series and has also moved his way up pretty good. He started in 12th place. He's currently now sitting in 6th, so he is definitely playing the position battles very well tonight. And Jim Foose, who started in 29th place, is currently sitting in 11th, so another big race for Jim Foose today.
All right, now check this out, Brian. We got the bracket battle on point right here. We've got Tommy Ryan and Keith Medeiros here up on the front row. They opted not to pit as our leader had come in there. Dan Murray came into the pits, and so yeah, pretty interesting here. It looks like Michael Koenig's going to get the lucky dog here as he's heading around the pace car right now. But yeah, your bracket battle is in play right here at the front of the pack.
Absolutely, and I'm very interested in this move not to go in and take tires, because we've seen so many times this season that even taking 2 tires has benefited in these newer trucks. So it's definitely an interesting call here. But Tommy Ryan, he has been very fast, very consistent, and very capable of keeping his line nailed down. And also, Keith Medeiros, who's started 11th in this race, currently sitting in 2nd place, has put the muscle on almost every driver in front of him. So he has also been moving his way forward very consistently, but very calculated. Not a lot of aggression there, just doing what he needs to do to keep his car clean at Martinsville. And he is also looking very good for a repeat, as you called it, Sean. So these 2 guys, will be interesting to see if they actually pay off by not going down pit road.
Now, if Keith Medeiros wins this race, do I get $5? I'm just curious.
I don't know if that's how that works. There is a prediction thing, so if you didn't vote last week, I don't know how that exactly works, Sean.
Okay, all right. I might be exempt anyway. All right, yeah.
Well, talking about exemptions, though, know who isn't exempt is Reed Rundell. He had horrible luck at Daytona, and he's also had some bad luck later on in this year, and he is having a decent race today, so hopefully he keeps his car clean. He's currently starting in 19th place. He's sitting in 7th, so he's having a big race. And my pick, James Krahula, starting on the pole, is down in 8th place and just not having a lot of luck today. So it's interesting to see how this is all playing out. Now, it does look like the lights on the pace car are out. They will be going green this time. We'll be looking for the pace car to go down pit road. We have the 22 on the outside, the 16 on the inside. we have Adam Jersky, the very aggressive driver in that pink 71 car, on the inside as well. And of course, Gary Whitson, the very muscular, aggressive driver himself in the Tide truck, just behind the outside of Keith Medeiros. Let's go racing as we go green flag. The 16 taking a good jump. Keith Medeiros doesn't have any momentum to try and get anything done. The 71 car of Adam Jersky dives down the downside, but he has to get on the brakes hard to not slide out into the 22. The 22 looking like he has a favorable run, but he has a long ways to go if he's going to try and get on the 71 car. And let's see, Keith Medeiros will take second place, but it's very tight as we see Gary Whitson just trying to avoid both of them.
We got trouble in turn one. Trouble in turn one.
And it sounds like I heard a second number was 7, so...
Jared Haggerty and Dan Bailey getting into it. I'm sorry, Daniel Murphy. Jared Haggerty and Daniel Murphy getting it into it there in the turn. And, boy, that's a shame. Both those trucks, pretty good damage on them. It looks like, I'm looking at the replay here right now, and it looks like, it looks like the 57 got in a little bit hot, got on the brakes, and it kind of turned the truck right up into poor... right up into poor Daniel Murphy, and that's a shame. And the 57's got some pretty good damage on it right now. He's going to need to get into the pits and get that repaired because that Jared Haggerty's truck is looking pretty rough right now. And the 24 took some damage out of that as well, and he's going to need a pit stop here and get that looked at. So Brian, that was Alan Young in the 24, so that was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, and it looks like Christopher Ginn in that Smoky Mountain herbal snuff truck has also taking a little bit of damage. It doesn't look too bad. It might just be a little bit of a nudge, but that will unfortunately send them down pit road just for caution's sake. But yeah, that 75 just not having any luck today. We talked about the 18 incident limit here for this track, and we also talked about how damage really doesn't help you if you start falling laps down. So a couple drivers there definitely not looking too good. And you know, Sean, it's like you get a 4X for every time you hit a car very hard like that. These guys have already got to be right on the wire's edge for getting disqualified out of this race.
Well, don't look now, or maybe do look, but Daniel Murphy has disappeared from all view right now, and I haven't shown he's disconnected, but right now he's not having a lot of luck tonight. I feel bad for Daniel Murphy. He's got a great looking truck, and had the same hope everybody else did. It's to win this race, and right now it doesn't look like it might be possible for him tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm just kind of going through the field. There is a bunch of very beat-up trucks here. I'm looking at Jeffrey Belt. I'm looking at Tim Johnston, a few other drivers. Indeed, the number 7 of Michael Krobach. Just a lot of these guys gotta start playing the patience game if they want to make it to the end here. We're only on lap 47. We still got something over, what is it, 100 laps to go? No, it's less than 100. We're only doing 125 laps today. So regardless, they have a long ways to go.
We got 75 left right now. Looking at some of these movers right now, Jesse Fowler, man, got it up to 11th there in a number 98 Petco machine. That Silverado looking pretty good, coming all the way from 23rd place. We got right behind him Michael Krobach, who had a little bit of trouble earlier, has just a little bit of damage on that truck. It's wrinkled up a little bit, but he's come all the way from 27th up to 12th. Just behind them, Jeffrey Belt in the 102, who's also had just a little bit of trouble, working with a little damage on the front end, on the left rear, and on the left front and on the rear end. But he has come all the way from 18th up to 13th. So, we definitely got guys moving up through this field. Go a little bit further up to the front of the field. Reed Rundell's come all the way from 19th up to 6th right now. Having a great run in that number 43 ride. Sweet-looking machine. The race day paints car. Lights are off on the pace car, Brian. I'm going to give it back to you.
Now, I just want to point out, though, as many yellows and as many big crashes as we've seen in this race, there's still 27 cars on the lead lap, so that's something to talk about later on. But right now we see Tommy Ryan crossing the start-finish line as we go green. The 22 again, getting a little bit of a lazy start, but he is doing a lot better this time. We see the 15 car on the outside just trying to get around the 71 of Adam Jersky. That's Ricky Harden on the outside. I know we were going to talk to him later on, but haven't had much luck with that lately. The 22 of Keith Medeiros tags the wall just a little bit, and the 15 goes around Adam Jersky on the outside. Doesn't quite make it. Sean, what are you looking at in the middle of the pack?
Man, I'm looking mid to all the way back, and what we had here was had a lot of guys late getting off of pit road, just making it up to the rear of the field. Oh, we got another stop down here in turn 2. Lots of trucks. Caution's back out. I'm checking it out right now. I see the 19 Foose is involved. Jim Foose is involved. The 32 is involved. Lots of trucks.
Now, I did see something just before we talked about the yellow come out. I think it was the 18 car got into the back of Bryce Whitson, or in the Reed Rundell, one of the drivers anyways, and I think Jim Foose just kind of lost it on his own, maybe anticipating a checkup that never came. So Jim Foose, having a clean, consistent race, puts himself out basically on his own there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened. That's a bad break for Jim, as he had made up so much ground to get forward there, and just a tough break for him. But Jim's shown the ability to get around this track with a really clean line tonight. So I mean, he's not out of this thing by any means, but yeah, just following it now, and the truck just the rear stepped out on him. The right rear stepped out on him, and everybody behind him just tried to make an evasive move, and that caused a stack up.
Yeah, big stack up indeed. And Sean, why don't you run down the field real quick? I'm gonna go see what Ricky Harden's doing. Maybe we can get him up here and talk about how the race is going so far.
Sure. Right now, as we're looking at it here, we'll roll through the top 10 real quick. Tommy Ryan up in first. Keith Madero still in second there with him. Okay, those guys are in a bracket battle again. Now, it does look like Medeiros went in for a pit stop, so he's not in second anymore, but Tommy Ryan is still on point. Outside of him, we got the 22. No, I'm sorry. Medeiros is up there. Okay, my bad. Okay, so Keith Medeiros and Tommy Ryan are still at the front. Adam Dursky in the 7th, still in third. Ricky Harden in fourth, up from 10th place. Reed Rundell in fifth right now. Again, he started in 19th. He's up to fifth. Bryce Whitson in sixth. James Krahula in seventh. He was our pole sitter. Jim Foose now falling back to eighth. I'm sure when they cycle around, he might be a little bit deeper than that. Dan Winter is now up there to ninth. And Michael Krobach still hanging tough there in 10th place. Number 27, he started in 27th, and now he's up to 10th place. So there's your top 10.
Absolutely. And joining us right now is the number 15 of Ricky Harden in that Nylabone car. Ricky, I know we're about to go back to green here, but the lights are still on the pace car. What's the traffic light down there? We've had a couple quick yellows. So we see a lot of bumping and busting around. And what's the light down there?
It's been pretty rough so far. I had a pit strategy to pit early and take on some fuel just for security. And so far, leading the charge back to the front. The three in front of me haven't pitted. Reed and myself and most of the guys behind me have. So I think it's a good strategy. I think we're going to make it.
Absolutely. And we've seen a lot of guys starting on the front there having some bad luck, so maybe your pit call will come out to benefit you later on. How's the setup feel? Are you slippery? Are you tight? Or what's it feel like after you start going on the run for a little while?
It's pretty tight, so hopefully it doesn't get worse throughout the run. But we're going green here. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for joining us, Ricky, as we move you back down to your team channel here.
All right, so the lights are out, and we're getting ready to go back to green, Brian. Take it away.
And we are green now. It looks like Ryan is going to have a good run once again. He's been very good on the start. So the 22 car, of Keith Medeiros now under attack by Adam Jersky. Jersky's had a great race today. Very quick on that inside line as he comes down below the 22. Keith Medeiros has nowhere to go. Right behind him is Ricky Harden, who we were just talking to. He is going to play a little conservative, but now looking down the inside to see if he can get on the attack of the 22 car. It looks like Keith Medeiros doesn't have a lot of places he can go. And of course, Reed Rundell also making his way to the front. He's going to try and jump onto the Keith Medeiros passing train. So let's see how that goes. Sean, what are you looking at?
Oh, we got a spin back here. Oh, that's going to be another caution flag on the backstretch. I'm going back to it right now. Let's see here. That was the 29 out of shape back there. Yeah, Brian, not sure exactly what happened, but looked like he got loose off. I'm trying to find his name right now. I'm sorry, the 29. But yeah, that was unfortunate. I'm sorry, it wasn't the 20. It was the 62. My bad, the 62. Coming off the backstretch there, it looked like, got a little bit of contact from Steve Buhala there, and that kind of set things off. And, maybe even a little bit of net code. I didn't really see any contact, but maybe just a little bit loose off or a little bit of net code, but that's what sent him into the wall there.
Well, I'm looking at Christopher's truck right now. It does have a few dents and bumps on it, but it still looks like it's a pretty racy truck, so maybe you can get by with just a couple new tires and a little splash of fuel. We are currently on lap 60 of 125, so We have a little bit of a ways to go before we start worrying about big time damage. But you know, I keep looking at the replay and seeing these other cars that we haven't talked a whole lot about spinning as well. So there's a lot of guys that are just having a bad day here at Martinsville that just really want this day to end as we go on. But right now, the top 5 are looking at Tommy Ryan in the lead still. He's led a large portion of this race. Adam Jerski finally makes his way up in the 2nd place. Keith Medeiros, who's been working pretty hard to keep that car clean. Ooh, and it looks like the 62 car almost took out the 12 car coming off pit road. I do not know what happened there, but the 12 had really no reason to be that low coming out of turn 2, knowing that there's cars down pit road that will be leaving. That was kind of differently. We will have a quick commercial break while we let these cars stack out, and we'll come back for some green flag racing.
Friction is heat. You know, you take an engine where the lifter goes up and down,
I'm
pushes the
sorry,
valve
dude.
up and down.
You know what? I'm going
really
back to my
gets hot
pad.
right there.
I was trying to use the results
That's
window,
where
and it's
oil
just not
breaks
quick
down
enough for me.
and
I'll go
where
back
we
to my
have
pad.
failures.
The trouble I'm
AMSOIL,
having is
on the
something
other hand,
happens at
the
turn
truth
3,
is
and by the
very
time I go back to
it
find
just
it, all the cars went down
right
pit
there.
road. So
It
I'm kind
doesn't
of
even know it's being used.
Such a short
In other words,
track.
300 degrees is whole come to AMSOIL.
Sounds like we had a few technical difficulties. We apologize for that, but as we were saying just before we were gonna go to the break, that top 5 right now looks as Tommy Ryan, Adam Jerski, Keith Medeiros in 3rd, Ricky Harden is in 4th, Reed Rundell is in 5th, Bryce Whitson is in 6th, James Krahula has moved his way back into 7th, Jim Foose, even though he had a spins, in 8th, Michael Krobach is in 9th, and then Dan Winter, someone we haven't talked a whole lot about in this series so far, is currently in 10th, as we see Christopher Ginn getting low, letting cars by, and we all stacking up desperately as we get ready to go back to racing here at Martinsville Speedway. And it looks like we have Tommy Ryan going down the inside. The number 71 of Adam Jerski has a little bit of a trouble getting down there. Keith Medeiros comes out, gives him a little bit of a tap, gets a little sloppy there, but was able to hold on. Reed Rundell just behind him, keeping it nice and clean. And of course, the 15 of Ricky Harden also making the charge. Not enough momentum to get around the outside of Medeiros, so Medeiros will hold on to 3rd place for now until they go across the live timing board. It looks like Medeiros has the better run. Reed Rundell just behind him, and 18th we have the 18 car of James Krula also working that bottom line. Sean?
Hey man, back here at the back, the number 86, Stephen Marks, started in 32nd up to 22nd. He has picked up 7 spots since the restart. I mean, he is just on rails right now. A little bit of damage on the left rear of that truck, but he's looking awful fast right now. Might be just kind of be one of those sleepers out there tonight. He's got Steve Bohala right behind him. But Stephen Marks picked up, like I said, 6 positions here just on the restart alone, and still making his way up through the field, getting positions down low and up top.
We cycle through the field. We have so many damaged cars here just trying to hold on. We're lap 68 of 125. And we still have this battle with Ricky Harden and Keith Medeiros going on right now. Right now, it looks like Ricky Harden's car is doing a lot better in the corners as he takes that inside line, gets on the gas so much sooner than Medeiros is able to. So it looks like Ricky Harden will foul up into 3rd place, as now we see Reed Rundell trying to make a move on Keith Medeiros as well. So Keith Medeiros may have just tapped the wall there. He's just seems like he's losing a little bit of speed as we get later on in this race, Sean.
Yeah,
a little bump there from Reed Rundell.
Yeah, that'll always help, right? Tight racing going on here. Ooh, a little bit of bump there. The number 52, little Dan Deffler with a little help on Aaron Kleinhaus's bumper there going into the turn. These guys are just really running in some close quarters right now. Really trying not to use the car in front of them as a brake, but you know, if you go a little deep, sometimes it's hard to keep that truck in shape without getting into the guy in front of you. It's a tough battle to deal with all night, Brian.
Absolutely, and this is going to be an interesting race for sure as we go down the season, especially going into the next race. I believe is Darlington. It's another one of those tracks that can be really brutal on these machines, and these points are they're established right now. Everyone has a pretty clear-cut position where they're at, but with all the guys we have in this race that are falling way back, I mean, we got Christopher Ginn, we got Brandon Jones, we got Gary Whitson, just to name a few, Ryan Howard, all the way down the back of the track. That's really gonna make the points interesting going into round 5. And you know, as we're talking about this, we also see Bryce Whitson, who's currently in 6th place, trying to enter the top 5. He is just behind Reed Rundell, coming through the corners nice and smooth there. He is pretty much uncontested from Michael Krobach, who's a little ways behind him, almost 2 seconds. So right now, it looks like everyone's going nice single file. Ooh, and there's a big check up there. Keith Majeros gets a little hard on the brakes. Reed Rundell has nowhere to go, slams right into the back of him, and Bryce Whitson also got tagged in the front of his car. You can definitely see the damage on the back of Reed Rundell. I don't think there's any suspension damage, but that definitely will cause some tempers to flare down on pit road.
You know, I just noticed Gary Whitson had a disconnection. The yellow flag is back out, Brian.
I do hear Jared Haggerty talking a little upset. We have the 32 of, I believe that is Brandon Jones. He was moving a little slow as the leaders were coming back around, so I'm guessing he was probably going to be involved. Let's see if we can get a replay and see what happens. But I am looking at Brandon Jones. He had a spin coming into turns 3 and 4 just behind the 12th car, and he's getting back on the gas, and it may just have been I'm not really sure what happens here, Sean. He just kind of spins out on his own. We're on replay. Let's see what happens. He's coming down, trying to pass the 12. Oh, and he got just a little bit of that curb that kind of threw his line out, kind of got him back on the curb again because he's unable to continue his turn in. Hitting that curb twice is what did him in. Those tires just couldn't find any grip, and that spun him around.
Yeah, and you know, tough break for the 12. He's not off. We're not having the best of luck here so far tonight, but yeah, this is you know, again, another caution flag. We're now almost 75. I think we are 75 laps into this race now. We're coming down to the final 50 here, and I don't know. Should be interesting to see what happens. The 12 is in. Steve Bahala came in for repair and got that thing fixed up. And as I was trying to say before, Gary Whitson had a disconnect, and you know, up there running really good, and then got a disconnect and was able to get back in, but unfortunately that cost him many spots, as Gary has now fallen down to 29th, 4 laps down, and that's going to be really tough to overcome for him tonight. Ooh, a little bit of contact there with the 13 and the 104 coming out of the pits there. Gary Whitson having a little bit of contact with the 104 coming out of the pit, Adam Blattel. But it looks like both the trucks are looking good still, no damage there, so we're in good shape as we see Blattel take off ahead of Gary Whitson.
And this looks like a good time, better time, if not for anything, to remind our fans that they can chat with us on social media during the race on YouTube or Twitter. They can go to Twitter at GSR Channel, and also find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Just want to do a quick shout out to TMSRA Sports Network 81 on YouTube. He said this is short track racing at its best. Also, Samuel Ryman, one of our regular commentators, in the series, saying this is a great race, and really looking forward to watching the end of this one. There's a lot of speculation on the YouTube channel about whether or not these leaders will go in. So, Sean, maybe you can give some insight real quick before we go back to green. Do you think these leaders, the front 3, are going to go in time tonight?
Well, you know, with the way the cautions have played out and with such a long pit road, man, I got to be honest with you. If I'm up front there in the clean air, I don't think I'm coming in, man.
Looks like the pace car is going down pit road, so let's see. It'll be interesting to see how that pit strategy comes out. Now it looks like Tommy Ryan with his signature good start. We have Ricky Harden now in the 2nd place position. Bryce Whitson going hard on the outside. He gets into the 15. The 15 gets a very hard hit. Bryce Whitson definitely just body checked him out of the way. Tommy Ryan gets a commanding lead, but now Reed Rundell has to contend with a damaged Ricky Harden, who's definitely frustrated after that big hit. He is going to try and move into 2nd place now. I would not be surprised if Ricky Harden starts falling like a rock, but the way he's been driving, he might actually be able to recover from such a big hit. Now, it looks like Reed Rundell was able to avoid that contact. So, Sean, what did you see?
Yeah, we got another one here in the turn, and that's where they've all happened tonight here is in the turn. We got another big stack up at the back of the field. I'm trying to get some names and some number there, but we got Jim Foose was into the 13 there of Gary Whitson, and Blattel right behind them, and we had the 32 Brandon Jones up there, and the 62 again having trouble tonight. He's having a rough night, but yeah, that's That's a tough one, and just another stack up. We got guys checking up, and the guys behind him just they're reacting as quick as they can. But again, it's so tight here. There's just really no margin for error, and once you get loose, man, you just start to spin, and there's not much you can do. You're along for the ride.
Absolutely. And since we've had this strain of yellows, why don't we take a short break and we'll come back once we see the line has filed out and gotten back into order. We'll be back very soon for some more green flag racing.
Friction is heat. You take an engine where the lifter goes up and down, pushes the valve up and down, it really gets hot right there. That's where oil breaks down and where we have failures. AMSOIL, on the other hand, it's a true synthetic lubricant. It's just idling right there. It doesn't even know it's being used. In other words, 300 degrees is whole hum to AMSOIL.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching round 4 of the ASRA AMSOIL Truck Series live here at the Global Sim Racing channel. The guys down here racing at Martinsville, we have seen quite a big rash of cautions in the last couple of laps, 10 to be exact. And now we have seen the pace car coming around, getting ready to go back to some green flag racing. Tommy Ryan's currently our leader, followed by Ricky Harden, who got a big bump from Whipton in that last restart. Reed Rundale is able to get by without damage, but right soon after that, a whole lot of cars came out, started losing control in the back of the field. So we will be seeing a lot of damaged cars in this race for sure. Hopefully everyone will get their cars in gear literally, and we can get back to some green flag racing. But to get back on that talking point here, as we get real quickly, we'll be going back to green. Tommy Ryan has led most of this race, and it's mostly because of the yellows. Now, not to say that he hasn't earned his position. He's definitely been very defensive from all these other drivers out here. Ricky Harden, for one, who's played the pit strategy almost perfect today, has put up a big fight. But Tommy Ryan looking very good in this battle going around. As the pit car comes down pit road, Tommy Ryan will be able to control the field once he gets around out of turn 4. Excuse me. As now we have the 16 on the inside, the 15 on the outside. Tommy Ryan gets a good jump. Ricky Harden was a little bit lazy on the gas, but that might be due to that rear end damage. We see him get a little squirrely, but able to hold on. He dives down right in front of the 40 car, or the 43 car of Reed Rundell. Reed Rundell playing very cautious and conservative race, doing a good deed there. And now the 102 in the 7 car, that's Michael Krobach and Jeffrey Belt racing very hard. A little bit of a bobble there.
And we got trucks loose in 3.
And we got cars loose in 3, so we'll see who was involved there. But until the yellow comes out, we're going to keep racing. Now I'm looking at the 7 car of Michael Krobach. Right behind him is Todd Guerin, who had a good fight earlier on in the race. That is the 54 car. Bryce Whitson just on the outside. He's going to try and dive once again like he did before. Is able to get past Todd Guerin as we're on replay now of the cars getting loose. Let's see exactly what happened,
yeah,
Sean.
Dan Winter caught a little bit of the grass there going in the 81 truck, and then Foose was right there, and when Winter came off the grass there and up, he got into Foose, and they both managed to keep the trucks under control and back under racing, so we avoided a yellow flag right there, Brian.
Absolutely, and to get back to live racing, Jeffrey Belt in the 102 car has moved his way up into 4th place. Just behind him, also in the top 5, Bryce Whitson finally makes his way into the top 5 after a long struggle today. He is looking very good after that accidental bump he had with the 15 of Ricky Harden later on. Todd Guerin was also one of the drivers that was doing very well earlier in this race, working his way up the top 10 once again after a bunch of pit cycles. He is now currently in 6th place, followed by the 51 car, Jordan Harnish. He's been very quiet but very consistent today. Sean, we've had these guys at the top running very clean and very, very single file throughout the whole race.
Well, hey, listen, we've said it before, the struggle is real, and some of these guys are struggling to find their way to the front tonight. Just go back to Jim Foose real quick. I mean, he's been like a yo-yo tonight. He's been up front. He's been in the back. He started in 29th. Now he's shuffled back to 22nd. Has he got enough truck left to get back up in there in the top 10? Keith Medeiros, he was at the front. He's now back to 12th place. He's got Adam Jersky right in front of him. Is he going to be able to get around Jersky? Jersky's been fast tonight. been very aggressive. So that's going to be tough for him to pull off. So my pick of Keith Medeiros is not looking great right now. But again, he is only in 11th. And the 52 is around and in the wall. Yellow flag is back out.
Man, and we were finally settling into a nice rhythm. It looked like everyone was going good, and the 71 car just, I don't know if I want to blame the 71, but let's see here, the 38 checks up, maybe just a little more than the 52 was looking for, but yeah, it just looks like the 71 of Adam Jersky just got a little hard on the brakes there, and just kind of ran right into the back of the 52, so...
yeah, that goes back to that aggressive driving there. He drove her a little bit deep and got just enough for the 52, Dan Deffler there, to turn him around and... bring out that caution, he took a hard. Dan took a hard right turn into that wall, into that safer barrier, and more damage on the front end of that truck. In fact, looks like he might be crab walking a little bit right now. I'm thinking he might need a little bit of repair. It'd be interesting to see if he comes to the pits. Right now, he's still out on the track, so maybe that truck's not crab walking like I thought it was, but it's certainly got a bit of damage on it for sure, Brian.
And we were just looking at the onboard a little while ago of Keith Medeiros' view of that accident. He just barely made it through without any damage, so that was very lucky driving there by Keith Medeiros. We do not really have enough time to go on a break, but we will run through the top 10 real fast to get you guys updated on where everyone's at. Tommy Ryan currently in the lead. Ricky Harden just behind him. He's had a very good race today. Reed Rundell currently sitting in third place, followed by Jeffrey Belt in fourth. He's in that teal silver 102 car. Bryce Whitson is currently sitting in 5th place, Todd Guerin 6th, and then in 7th place we have Jordan Hardnish. In 8th place we have Michael Krobach. Tim Johnson's in 9th, and to round out the top 10 is Adam Jersky. Jersky finally getting back in the top 10 after some very bad luck earlier on in the race with pit cycles and yellow flags. So that is our top 10, and Sean, wow, we're on lap 95. It seems like this race is going by very quickly, even with all the yellows, and it's just been some very, very good racing all throughout the field, despite the yellows.
Well, I hate to be cliche, but hey, why not? It's go time, baby. It's time to get this thing going here, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens. Again, we've got some guys that were really fast here in the early stages of the race. We're up to the front and are still within reach. They're in the top 10 or top 11. Medeiros and Jersky are sitting back there ready to pounce. Michael Krobach, right now our biggest mover of the race so far. I mean, started 27th. He has held on to top 10 here for a long time now. He's up in 8th, got a good chance to get up there and maybe even get a podium finish tonight. 2nd through 5th place right now. All these guys started back past 15th. Ricky Harden started in 10th. Reed Rundell in 19th. Bryce Whitson started in 16th. Jeffrey Belt started in 18th. These guys comprise your top 5 right now. So very competitive race. But Tommy Ryan, showing us the way right now. He's got the truck that can do it for sure, and we'll see what happens here. But I still, I'm still looking out for Keith Medeiros to have a nice run here. But as you go through the field, you do see some pretty bent-up trucks right now. We did mention the Martinsville Special. I don't know if iRacing has that in place to where we go fenders off and no hoods and stuff like that, but it doesn't look like I see anybody missing any body panels yet.
And it looks like we had a green flag sneak on passive, but that's not to worry about as we have Tommy Ryan going down the inside once again. Ricky Harden on the outside. Whoa, he had a bump with the wall, or he got loose, but was able to hold on. That was a very scary moment for the 15 car indeed. Right behind him, Reed Rundell doing what he does so great, running patiently, consistently, and calm. And he is currently having a very good race today. I know I've been saying that a lot. A lot of these guys have been having awesome races. Just behind him, though, we have a little bit of a traffic jam as Bryce Whitson leads 4 or 5 cars that are going too wide out of turn 2. So Bryce Whitson really taking command of that top 4 spot, Sean, as he has a bunch of damaged cars all around him.
Yeah, and Brian, you got to just shut me up sometimes, man. Here, this type of racing is in my blood. I grew up on these short tracks, and I get to going, and I just won't stop. So, yeah, just kick me next time. But, yeah, some really great racing going on back here, even at the back of the field. Really competitive.
Wow, I don't know what happened there, but Jeffrey Belt just slammed on the brakes and went like an anchor through the water. He slammed
and the yellow was out. Yep.
Yeah, wow, the 102 just got real slow for some reason. I don't exactly know what the cause of that was. See if we can go on board or something and see what happened.
I'm looking at it right now, and
oh, I see. He was coming out of turn 2, got very loose. I don't know if he got bumped, but he got loose for sure. he lost a lot of speed. And then, of course, the 102 went flying. A couple other cars got involved. Keith Madero's one of them. The 18 of James Krahula also getting sideways as everyone kind of did their little dirt track driving all around there. But yeah, the 22, the 54, the 102, several cars just getting involved in that little bobble there. Not good on lap 102.
Well, it looks like what happened is Keith Madero's down there on the low line, gets a little bit loose there in the 22 machine, and started to spin, and he had Todd Guerin right up next to him. Todd started to spin, and it looked like Todd maybe caught a little bit of the back bumper there of and it just sent all three of them spinning there of the 102 truck there. And yeah, that's unfortunate, but we're getting down to the closing laps of this race, so I'm not altogether surprised that guys are going 2 and 3 wide right now through these turns. Everybody's trying to make up spots right now, Brian.
Yep, and you were just looking at the blimp view of what happened as where we were on replay. It's just one of those things, the 102 goes a little bit wide, trying to stay out of everyone's way, knowing he's off speed. The 38 comes in a little slow to try to keep that inside lane. That left no room for the 54 of Todd Guerin or Keith Maderos to go, as we saw Keith dive down the inside looking for some room to just try and slow down. Everyone got stuck in a lazy spin, so it wasn't like they had a huge, massive Talladega side flip, roll, and bump kind of crash, but those lazy spins will do just as much damage in the long run as they pile up, Sean.
Well, yeah, and again, on such a short track like this, I mean, everybody's, dare I say, the checkup is real. We got guys checking up going to these turns, and, everybody's got to react to that, and it causes that accordion effect, and, one guy spinning could lead to 12 guys getting collected, so not very uncommon when we're doing this type of racing. These short tracks are fun, but, man, they can be costly if you're not careful.
Yep, and I'm listening to the scanner right now and also looking at the text. I know you don't have access to the text on the broadcast, but tempers are definitely flaring here. We're on lap 106. We have something like 19 laps to go in this race, and these guys just got to kind of cool off and keep in perspective where we are so they can finish this race in one piece as we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Let's see exactly where we're at. But yeah, I mean, tempers, having a bad attitude or a bad temper on a track like this is definitely not something that will help you. Now, we do see the pace car going down pit road. Tommy Ryan currently controlling the lead, still hasn't had anybody pass him yet in this race. We still have Ricky Harden on the outside. Those two have been the closest we've had to battles on the track today. It looks like Tommy Ryan gets a good jump. The 15 car, Ricky Harden just behind him. 43 of Reed Rundell, a little slow at the line. And 51 spins. The 51 car spins out of control. Let's see if anyone gets around him without taking too much damage. I don't think he did, though, Sean. What happened there?
I'm going back looking at it right now. It looks like Jordan Harnish there was just loose going in. It looks like he got in a little bit hot and had to get on those brakes, and the right rear stepped out on him. Spun. He was able to dirt track it through there. Of course, the trucks behind him are checking up, and he took it in the wall, and he kept it up in the wall, and the yellow was out.
The yellow did finally come out, but they actually were able to get around the track without taking on too much damage. We're going to try real fast to see who was involved in that crash, Sean, but I got to say, nothing but respect for all the drivers that made it through there without hitting the 51 on that last restart. That was a very amazing feat of driving here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and listening to the chatter right now, it's definitely getting tense out here right now. Might I say some of these drivers might have their inner Kurt Busch coming out right now. I don't know. Too soon?
Well, the 52, it looks like. Ooh, I see exactly what happened now. The 52 car, let's see, that's Stefan Marks, Dan Deffler, excuse me. Came through the field. Now he had the 71 just on the outside of him, and they slammed into each other coming out of the corner, as I believe, as we see here. And they just make some heavy contact. But I saw another instance where they slammed into each other again, so I don't know if I'm a little lost somewhere in my replay reel, but
no, they did actually. The 52 got a little bit of the rear end of the 71, and then he hits the 71 again. Then he right turns into the wall, comes back across the track, and hits the 71 again. So they actually made contact 3 times in that short little stint right there.
Talking about here as we go to the replay, 71, You know, despite the fact that he's had such a great race and he's been putting a lot of aggressiveness down on the track, that was something that's definitely going to hurt his chances to get any kind of finish today. And that's just, like I mentioned before, Sean, having a bad temper or having a negative temper at this point in the race with this many laps to go is going to do more to hurt you than it will to help you at this point.
True, very true. And you know, I just saw Michael Koenig just got another lap back. Michael Koenig, actually, who started in 31st, got off to a real slow start, might actually get back on the lead lap here if we get another caution, as he only has Michael Krobach, who was up front earlier, now back to 23rd. But Michael Koenig maybe working his way back into a lead lap finish here tonight.
Absolutely. Now, let's see. Tommy Ryan currently still sitting in the lead, as we've said so many times in this race, followed by Ricky Harden in second place. Reed Rundell still in third place. So the top five, actually, with the exception of swapping out James Krahula and Keith Medeiros, hasn't really changed. In fourth place is Bryce Whitson. Bryce Whitson having one of the best races of his season so far. James Krahula sitting in fifth place, rounding out the top five, and then Keith Medeiros in sixth. Now, Keith has had a few contacts with the wall and a few bumps and bobs here and there. I'm actually impressed that he's able to keep the car up in the top 10, let alone in sixth place. So that just shows you how much driver is there in Keith Medeiros. And then, of course, looking at some of the big movers, I think the biggest one right now is Aaron Cleanhands having a very quiet, clean race. He started in 33rd place, now currently sitting in 11th. Now, the pace car is back down pit road. We do see the field stacking up once again. Let's see if we can get to the finish line this time as we go to the 16. Tommy Ryan doesn't get as good as a jump as last time, but still a very good jump as Ricky Harden running down the wall on the outside. Bryce Whitson trying to dive down the outside once again like he did earlier on. He was able to get into the back of the 15, though, so that move didn't really work out last time. Now, Reed Rundell has nowhere to go. He's trapped on the bottom side. Bryce Whitson working very hard to try and get that position, but it doesn't look like he has enough grip to hold on, so he's in the foul bag behind the 18 car of James Krahula. Now, James Krahula has set up the pass on the inside, but Bryce Whitson being ever so aggressive. Nowhere to go there as they are literally touching coming through turns 1 and 2. Able to get through without a spin, though. Very good driving from both drivers, Sean.
Alan Young in the 24 back here. Looks like maybe either the brakes or the tires are going away on this truck, as on that restart there, he was up in the wall real quick. Managed to save it, keep it in the wall, and got it back down on the track clean. Didn't collect anybody, but Alan Young holding on to 17th place right now. As these guys come back through here, he's got
Ooh, and it looks like Todd Guerin and Keith Medeiros are both wrapped up in something, so we will see exactly what happens. So many drivers, though, on the radio yelling at each other, so you know everyone's at the edge of their limits. Let's go back to replay and see exactly what happened now. We're watching Keith Medeiros as he comes around turns, I believe that is 3 and 4, down the start-finish line, coming hard down behind the 18 car. He has the 54 Todd Guerin just behind. Bryce Whitson on the outside, not giving the 18 any room. Medeiros slams into Bryce Whitson, spins him. They go down the outside. Now Medeiros spins up into the outside wall right in front of Todd Guerin. The rest is history. We have cars spinning up and down the field, Sean.
Yeah, but Todd managed to get away from that. I mean, yeah, he's going to have a little bit of damage from that contact with Medeiros' door, but what a hard hit for Medeiros as he was on his side and on his lid there for just a second. Manages to come back down on all fours, but that's a tough break for Medeiros. Had gotten up to 6, is now going to fall way back after that contact, unfortunately.
Now, I don't like to place blame when it comes to short track racing, let alone any kind of racing, but I'm starting to wonder how much of that was actually because of the battle going on with the guys up in front of them. That was, I believe, the 18 car James Krahula and Bryce Whitson in the double aught car. Now, those guys were literally inches from each other going around the track and in and out of every single corner. And because of that, the guys behind them were having to check up extra hard in the corners. And with all of these damaged cars and all of these guys trying to get into positions with less than 5 or 10 laps to go, or 9 laps to go, I think that was kind of a byproduct of just trying to avoid the race in front of them and tempers flying and causing a big wreck here with the last couple laps of the race.
Well, I don't want to really make light of it, but so in here, Bryce Whitson's been disqualified after that incident there, Brian.
Yeah, and he's not happy. I hear a lot of guys screaming on the radios right now. Bryce Whitson definitely not going to be happy after that outcome. Dan Murray is one of the guys talking right now, and Tommy Ryan, the leader, is also chipping in, so you can definitely hear the tension over the radio as we come around turns. I believe this is 3 and 4. We are on lap 120, so we have time for a very quick break. Not a commercial though, but we will just kind of sit here and watch as we come back around and see where the pace car is this time. So, Sean, any last minute thoughts before we take the green, hopefully before the end of the race?
Man, well, my guy is out now, unfortunately, but I'll tell you what, Tommy Ryan's been a real tough customer up there on point tonight. He's managed to get away on every start clean and keep the clean air in front of him. Tommy Ryan looking pretty strong to win this race now, unless Ricky Harden can do something on the outside, or maybe get a little help from Reed Rundell there on the inside just behind Tommy Ryan. So we're going to see here. James Krahula, talk about yo-yos. He's been all the way down, all the way up, and he's back in the mix now, back up in fourth place. So Krahula could win this thing. He could. He started on pole. He could come all the way back and win this thing if he plays his cards right.
Pace car down on, into the pits. We are on lap 121, so only just 4 laps to go. Any yellow coming out now will seize the order of the race as it is at the yellow, so they all have to be very careful. The 15 running the wall, I don't know if he tapped it, but he's definitely on the outside, trying to use every inch of track. We have Ricky Harden going for the lead on the outside, not giving the 16 to Tommy Ryan any room, not enough grip to get down there. He's going to hold on tight, but is unable to do anything. Tommy Ryan holds on to the lead. Now we have Ricky Harden just behind him. The 18 car, James Krahula on the outside, battling with Reed Rundell. It looks like the 18 has a little bit of a run, but he hits the wall. He hits the wall, and he is losing positions fast. The 54, Ty Guerin, trying to get around, nowhere to go, but the 18 is going to be in trouble after that hit. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on for 2 more laps. Now Dan Murray has nowhere to go. The 54, Ty Guerin's like a rock, falling back. Dan Murray dives down the inside. He has moved up into, I believe, 5th place, so he is looking very strong. The 54 now dropping back as the 38 of Tim Johnson coming around, Sean.
Yeah, and tough break for Guerin, but yeah, he's lost it now. I don't think there's any way he can get back to the front. That truck is still dropping there, but Tommy Ryan just right there again in the clean air. Ricky Harden right on his bumper, and Reed Rundell along for the ride, just kind of looking for an opportunity to open up, maybe at the cost of Tommy Ryan and Ricky Harden.
Absolutely. Now we are on the last lap. We are looking at the race leader, Tommy Ryan, as he comes down the back. There is no one even contesting him. Ricky Harden backing off just a little bit to save his car as we go into turns 3 and 4. Tommy Ryan gonna be the leader and the winner of round 4 at Martinsville. Congratulations, Tommy Ryan, on your win this early race in the season.
What a great run for Ryan. Obviously, with all the caution flags we had, I mean, it was a good idea to stay out there. And it paid off for him, obviously. So he was great on the restarts. He had a great line going around this track. Really ran this thing unopposed. Nice run to come from 7th place and get up here and win this race. Great job by Reed Rundell to get a podium finish here, coming from 19th to finish 3rd. Great run for Reed Rundell tonight.
Tommy Ryan's going to burn him up after he is clear of all the traffic there. Now we see him going. He is spinning his tires, burning them down, making it very hard for the inspectors to go ahead and check his tires. And he is just having a blast with all of the yellows and all of the attrition in this race. He was able to hold on for about 90% of the race as the race leader. So great job from Tommy Ryan. Now we are going to go to break. Stay tuned for driver interviews. We are also going to go through the standings as we see them unofficially, of course, with all of the disconnections, the penalties, and things to come. We don't know what the true order will be, but we will cover that. And also stay tuned for information on how you can watch the next couple races as we go to break. We'll see you when we come back.
The rear end was the weakest point, and the rear ends were breaking. The film strength that AMSOIL provides is what I needed. The AMSOIL rear end lubrication was keeping the metal apart. We accomplished big things with so little effort. Just changed the rear end lube and AMSOIL. So we did it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and you just watched round 4 of the ASRS AMSOIL Truck Series live on the Global Sim Racing channel at Martinsville Speedway. We just watched a really good race tonight, but before we go to the driver interviews, let's go through the field real fast and see how everyone fared for today's race. The winner of the race and leader for most of the race was Tommy Ryan. He started in 7th place and ended on the front position, so very good job with Tommy. 2nd place we had Ricky Harden, and 3rd place we had Reed Rundell. 4th place was James Kula, followed by 5th place Dan Murray. Tim Johnson was in 6th, followed by Todd Garrett in 7th, despite some of the accidents he had. A very quiet day, but also very, very good finish. He started 33rd and ended 8th. That's Aaron Cleanhands. Jordan Harnish was in 9th place, followed by Jesse Fowler in 10th. And over to you for Sean.
Well, Alan Young finishes 12th tonight. Adam Jersky, who we saw run up front there a lot tonight, had a hard run, winds up with the 13th place finish. Jim Foose, good run for Jim. I've started 29th, still finishes 14th. He was up a little bit higher than that, but he found some bad luck, still winds up at 14th place. Brandon Jones fell back a bit from his 5th place starting spot to 15th. Keith Medeiros, man, my pick to win this race. Tough break for him there in the closing segment of this race there. Finishes 16th. Michael Krobach, 17th. Dan Deffler, 18th. Christopher Ginn in 19th place. And a lap down, Adam Blattel. Tough night for Adam. Involved a couple different incidents, and damage on that truck made it hard for him to compete. Finishes in 20th place.
Dan Winter finishes in 21st place, followed by Jeffrey Belton, 22nd. Michael Koenig was 23rd, followed by Gary Whitson in 24th. Now, Gary Whitson started 12th, so he actually had a pretty bad run with the incidents today. Bryce Whitson was disqualified from the race, but his finishing position will be 25th until the marshals figure out what to do with that. Stephen Marks was the 26th driver, followed by Steve Buhala. Jared Haggerty, the Power Ranger, finished 24th. No, excuse me, that's 28th. I'm reading the wrong column here. I apologize for that. Alex Gates finished 29th, followed by Sean Music in 30th. Daniel Murphy came in 31st, followed by DJ Beverly, and of course Jason Kristen came in 33rd. And that will round out the field. Thanks everyone for watching. Now let's go over to do some driver interviews, and I believe Sean is going to have a little talk with James Krahula, who finished, I believe, 4th place today. So let's bring him down here, Sean, and get to it.
Well, James, you started that thing up on the pole tonight. Walk away with a 4th place finish. Man, it was rough out there. How you feeling right now?
It was an interesting night there, Sean. Started on the pole. That's unusual for me. I'm not a hot lapper by any means. So that was a nice surprise. And going by how the Cup race went last night, we were going to try and pit early, get that out of the way. And, it was a little more hectic than we thought. So, just had to kind of go with the flow. Got some extra pit stops in there, and that's what got me up there back towards the front was pitting that extra time.
So the pitting, that strategy obviously worked out for you. Our leader of the race, Tommy Ryan, the winner, didn't pit. So, 2 different strategies, both working in harmony there. But hey, James, for someone who doesn't think that much of himself as a hot lap guy, I mean, you blistered that track with a 20.160 to put that thing on the pole. Did you ever approach that kind of speed again?
No, and you just kind of do that one lap, and then in the race you're a couple tenths off because you could only run that for about 1 lap, and then you're done. So I just felt lucky getting in and setting that lap.
Yeah, well, hey, listen. Great run for you. I'm sure you would have loved to have been on the podium there, but listen, this is going to be a great points night for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a great points night for the whole Unacceptable Racing crew. We got 4 of us here, or 3 of us here in the top 4, and it's not too bad. Go home, guys, grab some Bud Light, head over to the Richardson Bike Mart, grab you a bike, ride on over to Petco, donate to the Petco Foundation, and get your puppy a nice Nylabone.
All right. Well, James, thanks a lot. Hey, we'll see you next week at Darlington, man. Another tough race on tap. Certainly Darlington is no slouch on the schedule, right?
Darlington is a rough track, and especially in this sim, it's not exactly the easiest one. You have to be, you can't lose focus for a second because you'll be in that wall, and so that'll be interesting next week. But we'll see how it works out.
Well, hey, again, thanks for coming in and talking to us tonight. We'll see you next week, and take care. Okay, James?
Thanks, Sean. Take care.
All right, Brian, we'll take it away to you, and I believe you're going to talk to Ricky Harden now.
Absolutely, and Ricky Harden's joining us here. He had a big race and a big finish today in that number 15 car, finishing second. Ricky, you there?
Yes, I am.
Now, you were talking during the break a little earlier in the race about how your pit strategy is going to play out. Now, you did start in 10th place and end up in second. How does that feel?
Well, it was one place short, but I'm really happy that my teammate was able to get the win. He had a great strategy staying out all race. I knew if there was a long enough green flag run, it wasn't going to work, but it did. So kudos to him.
Absolutely, and you know, this is kind of the race you kind of donated to or sponsored with your cause with the Petco Foundation and all the other things going on. It's a very good finish for you to definitely get your cause on the air. So good job to you and your guys with Unacceptable Racing. Now, next week is Darlington. It seems like you go from one battleground to the next. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Darlington next race?
Yeah, well, you know, Martinsville's probably my best track, so I was really hoping to get the win here. Darlington is probably one of Tommy Ryan's best tracks, so I expect him to be very, very strong there, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for coming down and joining us. We'll see you at Darlington. It's always great to talk to you, Ricky. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
And also caught up with Tommy Ryan, the winner of the race. Tommy, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Now, Tommy, you started the race out in 7th place. Your car was looking a little slippery there during practice and qualifying, but it looks like as time went on, it came in for you. And then with all of the yellows we had, it just looks like there wasn't anyone able to get your number. How does that feel to kind of roll around in front and then come home with the win?
It feels great, man. I've tried and tried to put myself in position to finally get a win. Martinsville's crazy. In our cup race last night, I pitted kind of the way Ricky's strategy went there, and we clawed our way back to the front, and we just ended up somewhere around 4th place and just never could advance because the cautions would come, or it was just so hard to pass. And I knew there was going to be some carnage in the back, and I was so afraid to pit because I did not want to go through that again. And it's basically the strategy is to stay out and save as much fuel as I can and try to take it to the win.
Well, it was a good win for you, but we just got done talking to Ricky Harden, who thinks that Darlington is one of your best tracks. It seems like Darlington is coming up next in the season. I mean, that's got to look good for you coming forward in the season as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I plan on putting the Northern Tool Silverado back in victory lane there. I've got a lot of confidence at that racetrack, and I like the driving style of it. You got to have a little finesse to it, and you got to know where to be fast. So it's I look forward to that a lot.
Well, it's always good to have you, Tommy, and we look forward to seeing you do a repeat down at Darlington in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for coming down and talking to us, and congratulations on your win.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for AMSOIL putting this deal on. Of course, my primary is Northern Tool, and of course, Petco is one of my associate sponsors, along with Bud Light and Alabama, Richardson Bike Company, Crown Royal, and Diet Coke for the weekend. And see you guys in Darlington, man. Thanks for hooking us up.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. Have a good night. Well, that was a very, very good race, Sean, and let's get some closing thoughts here real quickly. A lot of yellows, but a lot of big names not making the cut in the top 10 today. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that season plays out.
Yeah, and I was looking through the results, man. We had a lot of guys hit that incident limit too. So a lot of disqualifications there, and it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out in the points once those get calculated here after tonight. But I'm sorry. I thought it was a great race. Martinsville just breeds cautions. That's just the nature. I said it earlier. It's the nature of the beast. Okay, you're going to get caution flags at Martinsville. It's going to happen. What you got to hope for is some good racing in between, and we got that. We got some really good racing in between, and we got a green flag finish, a race to the checkers, and guys all throughout the field playing strategy. Worked out for some, didn't work out for others, but obviously worked out for our winner tonight, and I think everybody saw a really good race tonight. A lot of fun working with you, Brian. I really enjoyed it, and looking forward to getting back on this broadcast here as soon as possible.
Absolutely, Sean. But it's time for us to leave. But as much as we don't want to, we always have to wrap up these broadcasts rather quickly, it seems. So just want to say a few thanks to Jim Foose, the organizers of the league, and the admins who put on such a great show. We'd also like to thank Adam Patel for sponsoring the race and helping us out. If you guys don't know Adam, he is one of the AMSOIL representatives who have sponsored this great series with all of the talented drivers that you see on the screen. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software, thank the makers, not thank the makers, of various software and hardware that help make the stream possible, including iRacing.com, XSplit, Audio Technica, and Aber Media. Thanks to the team today, Sean and Joe, for all of your hard work. It's always great working with you guys. I love every minute of it. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We are also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. A big thanks goes to Dougie Beard for creating the camera sets that you saw during the stream. A special thanks goes to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like the music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.